Us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
Hey, welcome everybody. Larry Sharpe here during your lunch hour. Are you working today? I know some people are and some people aren't. Here, WYSL, WENYENI, Elmira Corning, The Patriot, WACK, Newark, New York. So happy to have you here on this New Year's Eve. If you want to chat, 585-346-3000. Man, this is the last day of this year. And don't get me wrong, I know that tomorrow's just a day and not magically perfect and changes everything. I know. But it is symbolic. And it's time for us to use that symbolism here in A Free Solution to think about solutions. Of course. But before we think about solutions, what did 2020 show us? What did it teach us? What mattered about 2020 that we can look to the next year and go, you know what? Maybe we need some change, or maybe we need to think about things differently. Well, there are two things, I think, that stand out in my mind, and you can tell me if you think I'm wrong here. One of them is it showed us the weakness of a lot of our systems. And two, it showed us, as always, that force isn't the answer. Those are the two things that I think it showed. Now, let me cover both of those because I know some of you are like, what? What are you talking about? Well, I'm sure some of these you'll agree with. The first thing is the weakness. It showed us how weak our hospital system was. And I don't mean the individual, first line responders and the first line employees. I don't mean that, the frontliners. I don't mean them. I mean the system itself that says, if something goes wrong, we are flexible enough to handle it. Let me say, well, Larry, who could have known? Who could have dealt with this? You know where I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with the massive companies that are even bigger than our hospital system who are somehow ready to make this work. And a couple didn't. Look at what happened when all of a sudden we had to lock down. We had to start talking to each other, not in person as much at all, but all of a sudden now over the internet. If you would have thought 3 years ago, what company would explode at this time? Skype. Of course you would have thought that. Skype was the thing. We would say, you're going to call me or we're going to Skype. Remember that? Yeah, those days are over. Now what do we say? You're going to call or? Zoom. Yeah. Zoom was ready. Skype wasn't. We showed the weakness of the guy at the top thinking that, he knows everything. He's got it covered. And change comes. And now it's like, what's Skype? Everybody's talking about Zoom. Like there's no tomorrow. Zoom was able to take advantage of this to move forward. Zoom might not have been that big. They were a smaller company. They were able to advance. But not just the small companies. Amazon. You might say, well, Amazon's giant. Yes. But did Amazon actually know last year? I mean, maybe some people had some insight. But as a general rule, say 2 years ago, did Amazon actually know, oh, wait a minute, we're going to have to double everything and hire new contractors and find new ways of delivering so much stuff because all the stores are going to get shut down? No. But when it happened, they were ready. So Zoom was ready. Amazon was ready. Why wasn't our hospital system ready? It wasn't. Why weren't our nursing homes ready? They weren't. Well, some were, but then, of course, our Lord Master, our King Andrew Cuomo II, all hail the King, decided to send 7,000 people to their deaths there. So I kind of don't blame them as much for that. How could they have known that one man would decide to destroy the lives of 7,000 New Yorkers? So, okay. That one, I'll let them slide on that one. But the hospitals. When His Majesty gave his announcements in March and April, and he was telling us how terrible it was with the hospitals, we had about 53,000 hospital beds, give or take, in New York State. And he was like, see, We have to have more. I control them. If we don't fix them, it's going to be a problem. 9 months later, December, 8 months later, December, 54,000. 1,000 new beds in 8 months. I could have built more beds personally in 8 months. That's how bad. I could have set up something better in 8 months than 1,000 beds. Terrible. But we realize the weakness in our system. There's something else we realize the weakness in. Our voting system. Some of you are upset and feel there's fraud. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. To be forward, I'm not sure how bad it was or if it would affect the election or not. I know some of you are like, yes, it would. No, it wouldn't. I know people who are adamant on either side. And my point here is, sadly, that actually doesn't matter. What matters is we weren't ready. And when I mean that, even if this was the most secure election ever, okay, for the sake of argument, I'll say it was. How come so many Americans don't believe that? So even if it was, we weren't ready to tell people and show people. There was no trust. And there's the next piece. There's a weakness in trust. A weakness in trust in the media, a weakness in trust in our systems, a weakness in trust in our leaders, that a lot of people didn't realize how weak that trust was. Also, a weak in centralized control in general. The CDC, the FDA. How many people are upset or mad about this? And whether you love Trump, hate Trump, whatever is your view on him, he had to create warp speed to get around the centralized control. And of course, Democrats, it did nothing. Republicans, it saved the world. Either way, he had to do it. And we got a vaccine pretty fast. So if you don't want the vaccine, I'm sorry. If you want the vaccine, well done. Life's good. Good for you. Either way, that was a weakness. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, with these weaknesses, will we actually make any change? Or will we just complain, blame the other, and have the same problems next time this happens? Or the same problems in 2022 when we have to vote all over again? Or the same problem in 2024, and we're not going to believe it? Or the problem when the next virus comes? Are we going to have to do that all over again? Now, I know some people really want to head back to normalcy. I get it. 2020 was a rough year, full of change, full of pain, full of all types of crazy things happening. Some of us were more affected than others, but we all know somebody who was affected negatively. So we want to go back to some form of normalcy. I get it. And someone on my Sharpe show, I think I mentioned this last show, talked about the idea of, well, if you want to go back to normalcy, Biden's the best guy. I kind of agree with that. I just don't want to go back to normalcy. I don't want to go back to those ways. I don't want to go back to the Biden years. I don't want to go back to that. Some people do. And sadly, a lot of people do, just because they're afraid. We're afraid. So let's go back to the devil that I know and not to something I'm unsure of. Yeah, I know those are bad, but I don't know what the other bad is. I know Biden bad. Let's just do that. We have to make sure that we realize something. All these weaknesses that we have seen, they are repairable. We can fix them. We can fix them. And the number one piece here, when it comes to fixing our weaknesses, is transparency. You hear me talk about this all the time, and I'm not going to stop. If you want to believe the CDC and the FDA, we got to be transparent. If you want to believe the hospital system, we've got to be transparent. If you want to fix it, we got to be transparent and know what our actual problems are so we can change them. You want to fix the voting system, you got to be transparent. You got to show everything, all it. You got to just open up completely. People think, how do you build loyalty and trust? Well, you're the smartest guy in the room, and you have an iron fist, and you show them you're always right. No. That might be how you build respect, and for some people that's true. It's not trust. How do you build respect? By being vulnerable, and expressing what you don't know, and expressing what you're not sure of, and saying, look, I need help. The best leaders don't go, I got this, I'm super smart, go back in your cage. The best leaders say, all right, this is a big one. Guys, need your help. Get up. I need you. Let's go. We can do this together, and we can fix this. Show me where I'm weak, and I can become stronger. Let's fix this system together. That's what good leaders do. Transparency, vulnerability in all of us. Because I know some of you think I'm super cool. Maybe not that many. But I'm not perfect. That's for sure. I have tons of weaknesses, and I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. And neither do you or your friends or your cousin or your brother or your mom or your dad. We're all just human. So is our system. So are all our systems. Starting with trust, starting with transparency, is how we begin to fix all those weaknesses. If you want to actually fix weaknesses, let's start by being transparent. I think we can. 2021 can be a year of transparency. We can use 2020 to spur some real change. Larry Sharpe here, host of The Sharpe Way Show. Please follow me on all the Sharpe Way things on the internet. In fact, follow me on Facebook, The Sharpe Way. Do that. I'm here, WYSL, a free solution, back after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
When you've been seriously injured in a car crash, you need a lawyer who knows how to beat the big insurance companies. Call me and I'll take them on so you can focus on your health and family.
Car crash, call Salino. Salino, oh Salino. 888-2020.
Main Street, Rochester. Rochester's only NCAA Division II athletic scholarship program wants you. Our Life in the Balance approach to athletics will provide you with an opportunity to succeed in the classroom and in your sport while allowing you the time to be involved with your personal interests and even study abroad. The Red Hawks compete in the East Coast Conference, and their student athletes excel in the classroom and on the playing field. If you're ready for the challenge of high-level athletics while earning a college degree that will prepare you for the future, visit robertsredhawks.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Hey, Larry Sharpe, back during your afternoon. It's the last day of 2020. Thanks for joining me on A Free Solution here on WYSL, WENYENI, Elmira Corning, The Patriot, and WACK, Newark, New York, 585-346-3000. That's the number to tell me that I'm right. Or to tell me that I'm wrong. I'd rather you tell me I'm right. But it's fine. You can tell me I'm wrong. It's all good. I spoke before the break about the weaknesses of our system, and there are many. And I talked about the idea of some transparency to gain some trust so we can fix some of these weaknesses and keep moving forward. But I said the other one was force. If you remember, I said weaknesses and that force doesn't work. And I'm going to push that a bit because force seems like a good idea often, right? It's a quick solution. People are doing something bad, hit them with a stick. All right, that's great. We stop them from doing something bad. But they still want to do something bad. And others probably feel the same way. And we probably didn't stop people from doing something bad. It doesn't mean that force shouldn't be used. It just means it should be a last resort. It shouldn't be the first answer all the time. Now, what am I talking about with force? Am I talking about cops beating people over the head? Maybe that too, but not that. I mean government force in general. Mandates and rules and regulations, and all of a sudden throwing that up. There's a problem, more law. There's a problem, more mandates. There's a problem, sending more cops. That's always the answer when it comes to government. Government is always several things. It's always a jobs program. It's what government is. It's also always a monopoly, to include a monopoly on force. And it's force. Does that mean that we should never have government? Of course not. But it means that we shouldn't be thinking right away, force. So now there's problems. You know what? Mandate this, mandate that. I would bet that almost everything that really made you angry about 2020 was due directly to government force. Directly to government force. And the biggest one was the shutdowns. I know some people are going to be mad. Larry, you don't care about people. Why would you want to shut down? People are dying. Agreed. And I was never one of those guys who said, do nothing. That's not what I said ever. For those of you who want to beat me up on this, feel free to go to my YouTube page, The Sharpe Way, YouTube page. There's a playlist there that says COVID-19 answers or COVID-19 responses. There's 10 videos there from 9 months ago, almost 10 months ago now, that tell you exactly what we should have done. And none of that included shutting down the economy. So I did have answers, and I still do. But the most important piece is once we began that force, that we can shut down the economy, that we can tell Americans that you don't actually own your property, that what you actually do is you have privileges to your property, that the government allows you to have. And if we want to revoke those privileges, we can whenever we want. Once we did that, everything else came from that. Were you mad that George Floyd died? If you were, because of the lockdowns. Why? Well, George Floyd, for those who don't know, actually had a job. He was trying to make himself better. Would he have continued it? I don't know. I don't know George Floyd at all, or didn't know him at all. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, as I would give to anyone, that he was trying to make his life better. He lost his job due to COVID shutdowns. That's why he was back out on the streets again. That's why he had those problems. That's why the cops came after him. No shutdown. George Floyd's working at that point. He's not out messing around. He's working. Doesn't happen. How about the fights with the police afterwards, right? The fights with the police. Fights in Staten Island, the fights in Jersey. Shut down. Yes. Shutting down people's livelihoods. That's the reason. How about the protests and the riots? How about those? Well, it's because bad people. No, that's because shut down. If those people have to be to work at 9 o'clock in the morning the next day, they're not rioting. They're not protesting. They're not in the streets at all in any way, shape, or form. Shutdowns. Government force. Caused that too. Well, Larry, the people wanted to protest. Sure. Well, they're bad people because they were burning stuff. True. But when you're sitting at home, literally for months, 30 million Americans with nothing to do, with no purpose, with no hope, not knowing what the next step is, it was just supposed to have, remember, 2 weeks just to flatten the curve. 3 months later, you're still sitting home watching Netflix, waiting for your government check to come because you can't work. Now somebody goes, let's go outside and start trouble. You go, yeah, that's a great idea. You would have never thought that was a good idea if you were working. Never. See, Larry, you're being too good to these people. That's you. You're excusing their bad behavior. I'm not. What I'm saying is all the bad behavior that we saw was preventable and predictable. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make it good. It means if we're going to call ourselves the leaders of our country or leaders of our state or leaders of our community, and we're going to go out there and get elected and shake our fists at people, then we should understand how people work and know this was preventable and predictable, and we should have acted to stop it before it happened. How do we do that? By not using force. But Larry, people got, they were traveling during COVID and they were making people sick. And that's why we have this new, rash of COVID. All right. If you don't like that, great. Why do people do that? Because they were locked in their homes for 8 months. And they said, I don't care anymore. I'm going out. They've either seen people, particularly the elderly, which is what COVID affects more than anybody, the elderly with comorbidities, with other issues. They've watched these people die alone in a nursing home with no one to even hold their hand. And they're like, I don't care. I'm going to go see grandma. I'm going to see grandpa before they die. Yeah. Well, Larry, some of these people don't wear masks, right? That's why. It's their fault for not wearing masks. All right. You think masks are the answer? You want people to wear masks? Great. Why are people not wearing masks? Because you mandated it and you made it political. Yeah. Anything you might tell me you don't like about 2020, I will tie it back to government force. Like nothing. Well, Larry, now you understand, we got people going crazy. They're blowing stuff up in Nashville. They're doing, eco-terrorism in Aspen, Colorado. That's the right and the left, Larry. That's both of them. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. But why are they doing it? Because they've been locked down for 9 months, sitting at home, reading the internet for hours and then thinking, that's the right answer. I'll go blow something up. That'll save us. Yeah, that's what's going on. But Larry, I'm mad at the voting system and the ballots and such. That's what I'm mad about. Why? Because we locked everything down and gave no one any answers for 9 months. So now everyone got so afraid because we spent 9 months making people afraid. They didn't want to go to the voting booths anymore. We had to find another answer. So we rushed that one. Yeah, anything that you're going to tell me you weren't happy about, almost anything. I'm sure there's some things I can't do. But almost anything you're going to tell me, I'm going to pull right back to that. Force is not the answer. Well, Larry, I didn't want George Floyd to die, and I believe that we should reform the police. Okay, but if we don't do the forced lockdown and everyone rushes out, we don't get defund the police. That comes from this too. We get police reform, which I'm for. Let's reform. I'm in. Let's do that. I'm happy with reforming anything government. Yes, reform. I'm in. Yes. But not like this. That's cuz. Shut down. But Larry, people should be able to protest. 100% yes. Absolutely. Protest. Absolutely. But they shouldn't riot. They wouldn't have if they actually had to go to work the next day. They would have done their protests, whatever it is, try to get reform. Awesome. Let's reform. I'm in. We're good. But Larry, how can you have stopped people from traveling? Well, you can't. That's the point. But if we would have had a system in place early on, which I talked about in March, we wouldn't have to worry about this now. We'd have the protocols required. People wouldn't be fighting. There wouldn't be mass rebellion. People would know what works and what doesn't work. I want you to think for a second. If we had done what I talked about before, the idea of trust and transparency and sharing and inclusion, because the trust part deals with the weakness. The sharing part I'm talking about now, that's how you deal with the violence, the force. If you don't want to force people to do things, you have to get them to agree to do it. That's about inclusion. That's about sharing. So if you add trust and add sharing, I know I'm sounding like some kind of hippie. I know, but I'm still right. That's how we actually make real change. And we can do that. Larry Sharpe, our free solution, 585-346-3000. Back after the break.
listening to the voice of liberty. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from your News 10 NBC Weather Center. We're looking at temperatures in the mid to upper 30s for the high for today. Mostly cloudy skies and mainly dry conditions. We do have temperatures in the 20s when the ball drops tonight. For tomorrow, starting off with sunshine, dry conditions, then rain does return in the evening hours. Areas of freezing rain, so we could see some slick spots when headed out on the road on Friday evening. This is Samantha LaRocca for WYSL.
Now is a great time to shop at Victor Chevrolet. Come see how easy it is to do business with us. Winter driving is safe and fun when you lease the 2020 Equinox front-wheel drive LS. Just $129 a month for 36 months. Or buy it for just $24,990. Or enjoy the versatility of a tough and roomy 2021 Silverado LST. Lease for only $229 a month for 36 months. Or buy it for just $43,990. Lease a 2020 Chevy Trax LS front-wheel drive for just $89 a month for 36 months.
For Equinox, Trax, or Trailblazer, must have current lease in household. 10,000 miles per year. $2,500 cash or trade. First payment, tax, acquisition, and TMV fees are all due at signing for all leases.
Would you prefer to buy? Save big when you buy a 2019 Trax LT all-wheel drive with convenience package, power drive seat, and keyless entry and start. MSRP $26,145. Buy it now for just $19,990. This winter, find new roads at Victor Chevrolet, Route 96 in Victor.
Visit VictorChevrolet.com.
Grab a pen. I'm going to give you a phone number in a moment for attorney Christopher Johnson. Chris handles car and motorcycle accident cases and DWIs and serious personal injury cases. More on that in a moment. Let's talk about big law firm advertising. You can't miss it these days. The millions lawyers spend on promotion brings in a lot of clients. That's good for the lawyer, not so good for you. The more cases a lawyer has, the less attention you get. If there's an accident or other incident, you want to feel like you're Chris Johnson's only client. So this is the number you want in your glove compartment for serious vehicle accidents or DWIs. 585-415-3803. 415-3803. At that number, you'll get individual attention and integrity, experience, and expertise. One more thing. Any so-called guarantee from a lawyer is neither not real or worthless. Understand, no attorney charges a fee until you win. So write it down, 585-415-3803. Stay safe, be healthy, drive sober. Christopher Johnson, attorney, personal injury, car, or motorcycle accidents, DWI defense.
Did you get your flu shot? Influenza and COVID-19 share many symptoms. While a flu vaccine cannot protect you from a COVID-19 infection, it will help reduce flu illnesses and help keep you out of the doctor's office or hospital. Get your flu shot this season. Protect others and our healthcare system. For more information or to find a flu vaccine near you, visit www.livingstoncountyus/doh.htm.
Music, the universal language of all living beings. Why does music move us to joy or to tears? Experience what artists, producers, and engineers wanted you to hear. Audio Renaissance exists to honor musicians and their art. In these challenging times, the solace of music is more important than ever. Audio Renaissance specializes in high-performance audio gear for discriminating listeners. Phone Audio Renaissance at 334-7676 today.
An experienced professional with more than 15 years in dentistry, Dr. David Olivo welcomes new patients to his family practice at 2005 Lyle Avenue. At the office of Dr. Olivo, you'll discover a warm and comforting environment staffed by professionals who are committed to providing the best available dental care while assuring your complete comfort. Call 328-3382 for an appointment. Dr. David Olivo, offering quality dentistry with a gentle touch.
Merry Christmas, YSL.
Soul Sun Chargers, the perfect gift idea. A simple, fun solution to charging problems on outdoor adventures. It cleverly gives your loved ones the power to stay connected should disaster strike. Coupon code WYSL gives you 25% off all mini sun charger bundles during the holiday season. Visit bestsunchargers.com today. And happy holidays from Soul Green Energy.
For essentials, you buy in bulk. It's easier and cheaper. The same is true with insurance from Allstate. Save when you combine your car insurance with home insurance, boat, motorcycle, ATV, or even another car. Are you in good hands?
Call Allstate agent Vincenzo Scolo, 381-3530, and see how much you can save. 2 locations, 835 Fairport Road in East Rochester and 919 Winton Road South in Rochester.
Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois.
Flower City Collision in Henrietta is trusted by numerous corporate fleets. Properly insured and registered in New York, Flower City Collision specializes in working with insurance companies on your behalf. Get it done right. Visit flowercitycollision.com.
A free solution.
Hey, Larry Sharpe here. Thank you for giving me a part of your afternoon, of your New Year's Eve afternoon, here on A Free Solution. Also host of The Sharpe Way. Follow me on the internet when it comes to Facebook. Follow me on The Sharpe Way. Here on WYSL, WENYENI, Elmira Corning, The Patriot, and of course WACK in Newark, New York, 585-346-3000. I spoke the first half of the show about the ideas of using force, showing the weaknesses, what happened in 2020, trust and transparency, sharing and inclusion. But I want to go to one more piece. Yeah, I know I can get kind of teachy. I am a teacher, is what I do. So don't be mad at me for doing what I do. And that is finding a common goal to attack the root, not to attack the feel-good branches and say, we got to do something, and then make nothing better. I want to attack the root, and that's what I mean. If the root, as I said earlier, was hospitals, let's make better hospitals. Let's make more hospital beds. Fix that, and then guess what? We don't have to shut down the economy. If the problem is people paying their bills, let's deal with the banks and let people go back to work and keep their homes and keep their jobs and keep their businesses. That's the root. Those are the roots. That's what I've been talking about for months. I hope now we can start not just going, oh, this one thing's bad, hit it with a stick, but let's find the root and let people move forward together with some trust to actually make things work better, not just now, but in the future. I'm going to grab a call if I can. This is Joe from Rochester. Joe, how are you, sir?
All right, Larry. Thanks for taking the call.
Of course.
Well, you probably don't remember me, but me and my girl, we were out here last year. I guess I called last year because we're so close to this new year. Over at the Old Mill Pub. And you remember when you and Andrew were up there?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That was a couple years ago, wasn't it now?
Was it 2 years ago? I
don't remember, but go ahead.
All right, so anyway, I just wanted to comment on something you said about George Floyd, all right?
Yep.
And it's not about correcting you. I'm just trying to put something out there that I think that you mentioned that he had died of COVID now. And well, because of COVID, because he lost his job because of COVID. Let me tell you something. This guy had a rap sheet 2 arms long, and that shouldn't even be the basis of him, passing away. But there's also more evidence that surfaced that was held back. I'm sure you're aware of it. That in the end, at the end of the day, what this guy died from, all right, was simply this. He died, all right, because of a drug overdose, fentanyl. That's what he died from.
Hold on, I want to be clear. I'm actually agreeing with you. My point is, the reason why he relapsed was because he lost his job. Now, would he have relapsed in the future? I have no way of knowing that. I don't know. Maybe he would have been clean the rest of his life. Maybe he would have relapsed. I don't know that. What I know is at that time, he was clean. Prior to the lockdown, he was clean and he had a job. Then we shut the economy down and then he relapsed. That's what I'm saying. So you're right. He was on, was it heroin? Cocaine? I forgot what he was on. He was on something. You're right. My point is, I don't think he would have been on something on that day if we hadn't shut down the economy. I think he would have been at work that day if we didn't shut down the economy, in which case he doesn't get killed.
That's very possible. But I just want to make something clear to your audience, all right, that, you know, we all have 24 hours in a day. Each and every person on this planet has 24 hours in a day.
Yep.
Depending on what your next hour is going to look like is going to be depending on what you prepare for. So what does that all mean? Very simple, all right? We make the choices in our life. Listen, everybody goes, listen, I've been out of work too, all right? I've been out of work, and I know what it feels like to go to bed hungry. But for the rest of us out here, we know that there is a moral compass that we have to live by. Not everybody lives by it. You know, some people get weak and, you know, they fall apart. But that's not an excuse to claim victimhood, all right? You know, we can't be walking around claiming victimhood, all right, and dragging our victim chair, strapping ourselves in every time, all right, something doesn't go right for us.
I'm with you, and let me reiterate what I said. None of the things that I said that were affected by the shutdown, none of them was I saying was correct or right. What I was saying is they were predictable and preventable. That's what I'm saying. And if I'm going to call myself, you know, I govern you, if I'm going to say that, I'm going to say I'm the mayor, or I'm the president, or I'm the governor, I'm the county executive. If I'm going to do that, then it's my job to the best of my ability, understand that my actions are going to create an environment that's going to increase the odds of people doing bad things. So I should lower the odds to the best of my ability. And I just use George Floyd as one. How about the riots? I'm not saying the riots were right at all. But if you don't put, you know, literally 30 million Americans stuck in their home for 3 months doing nothing, what are the odds you're going to have those? Real slim. Could it have happened? Maybe. But the odds would have gone down because they got to go to work in the morning. I can't burn down a post office when I got to go to work at 9 o'clock in the morning. I can't do it. And that was my point. I wasn't saying it was right. I was saying it was predictable and preventable.
Yeah, it may have been. But, you know, it all really comes down to what you choose to do with your time.
Absolutely.
And we all have the same 24 hours in a day. It all depends on the person, on where they're going to draw their day. You know, that's all up to them. You know,
I'm with you. And I think that most people, when they have a decent community, people around them, it becomes a whole lot easier for them to make the right decisions, right? You know this. You hang around certain type of people, odds are you're going to do certain types of things, if you know what I mean, right? If that's who you're hanging out with, that does increase the odds of you doing stuff you probably shouldn't be doing. So we do want to make it to where our communities can step up more and be better communities. And when we, you know, step in and crush small business, we've just lowered the odds of that too. I mean, if you've been in a spot where I've been in, and I'm sure from what you're telling me, you've been in some tough spots in your life, you know, when you have people around you who can support you, it does make it a whole lot easier to do the right thing.
You know, I got a felony that's on my back, all right, for the last 30 years, all right? No matter how many jobs, all right, turned me down because they said, oh, no, you know, we can't take you, you know, you got this felony hanging on. You know, I dusted off my knees, I got back up, I sold myself, I got into the office, and I said, listen, give me a chance. Just give me a chance. If I screw it up, all right, then, you know, that's on me. But give me a chance. And you know what? You know, every time that I came at my employers that way, 50% of the time I got a call back.
Sure.
50% of the time.
But let me ask you a serious question here. Of the people who gave you the chance, were most of them small businesses or big businesses?
Small business, yeah.
That's my exact point. That's why I asked that question. That's always the case. My mother was a felon also, and that's where she got her chances. She got her chances in small local businesses, and that's why you hear me fight about that.
Burger King is open, all right, but Joe's hot dog stand can't be open. What is that?
Yes. Exactly right. You're right.
Okay.
Yes.
What different? Are they going to get COVID any faster, all right, by going to Wimpy's Burger Shop? You know what I mean? Other than McDonald's?
I'm agreeing with you 100%.
Or the Bellas?
That's my whole point.
Hello.
We are on the same page, brother. The small business is the person who gives you that shot. That's the guy who goes.
Nothing, all right, but there's more traffic going through those places, all right, than your little mom and pop shops.
Yep.
Think about that.
Yes. You've just made it to where now you've got more people closer than you wanted in the first place. You've actually gone against what you wanted to do. That's my point. I don't want us to fight the branch and just go, oh, let's fight this restaurant. Let's do that. How about instead, let's make sure we have a hospital system that can respond. Let's make sure we have a financial system that can respond to this, and then we can keep living our lives. Yes. Joe, you're totally right.
I'll tell you what, thank you for the time, Larry, and you know what? Help us to figure out a way how to get this emperor out of that governor's mansion, all right?
Oh, my God, yes. Absolutely. Joe, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. All right, guys, Joe's right. You heard him. I'm in, right? There's a difference between what's right and what we can, predict and prevent. We should be doing our best to make the best environments for all New Yorkers, and we are not doing that at all. Larry Sharpe here on our free solution, 585-346-3000. Back after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax. We would like to thank our Lord for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, He is my refuge and my fortress, for He will rescue us from every trap and protect us from deadly disease.
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys who specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results.
We are also a small firm who will treat you like family and not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And one way we can achieve that is by being debt-free. So let us help you today. Call us at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Free solution.
Hey, Larry Sharpe here. New Year's Eve afternoon. Thank you for joining me. Host of The Sharpe Way. Please follow me on Facebook, The Sharpe Way, if you can. For those of you who are still on Facebook, please get back on just for me. Here at WYSL, WENYENI, Elmira Recording, The Patriot, WACK in Newark, New York. Thank you to Joe for that phone call. He brought up some very valid points about we have to take some responsibility for our own actions, right? It's what allows a free society to survive, right? And as we take less responsibility and blame others, you will watch our freedom go away. And to be forward, it's fair, right? If I'm going to say, hey, Joe, I'm not responsible for my life. You are. You have to help me out. You have to pay for my stuff. You have to do that. Well, if I'm going to do that, Joe kind of has a right to go, okay, Larry, if I'm paying your bills, then you got to live the way I tell you to live. I have to lose some of my control and my responsibility. If I'm going to give that up, I have to, right? I give up my freedom if I want to give my responsibility. But if I want to have my own responsibility and say, no, Joe, you don't get to tell me what to do. I get to live the way I want to live. Well, then I kind of got to pay my own bills, don't I? I kind of have to have responsibility for what I do. It's a very valid point. This goes back to my force idea. As government steps in and tells us how to act and forces us to do what it tells us to do, the responsibility is no longer ours. The responsibility is now government's. And when that happens, we lose our freedoms. That's how it works. They go hand in hand. I'm so glad Joe brought this piece up. Right? Was it George Floyd's responsibility, to take the actions he took that day? Sure, absolutely. At the same time, why did we shut the economy down, which clearly put him in a worse position? Again, I don't know. I did not know George Floyd. I don't know if he would have been clean or not. But we can all, just for those of you who've had people who aren't clean in your life, I've had an addict in my life, you know that when these things happen, they very often trigger them to fall off the wagon. That's a common thing. We can assume that probably did happen. If he had that job and we hadn't shut down, I think the odds are he wouldn't have been there that day. The cops wouldn't have showed up and he wouldn't be dead. Should we still have police reform? Of course we should. But I'd like to have police reform without George Floyd being dead. I'd like to have police reform without people screaming defund the police. I think it's regular police reform. Let's sit down and talk about that. Let's find a real answer and fix things. That's what I would like. And of course, I already have those plans, as you know, which don't require anyone to die and don't require the police to be defunded. But let me still go to the three pieces I talked about. Talk about trust. Talk about sharing. Talk about the root. Imagine if at the beginning of this crisis, the governor had just said, there's a lot of stuff I don't know. Lots of I don't know. Here's what I believe. Let me tell you what I believe. Let me be open and transparent. And let me share. Let me use the government websites and the government repositories for information to allow other people to put their opinions, other people to put their ideas and information. But let me gather information everywhere. Within 3 months, we would gather data, and we would know, do masks work? Do certain types of masks work? Is a mask, does it matter if it's in your home, or does it matter if it's in a hotel? What works? We would know. Does it change depending upon, what type of communities you're in? We would know. We wouldn't have to immediately go, here's the law, and here's the rules, and I'm going to tell you what to do. Because once you do that, how do you go back? Once I say, I'm going to shut your business down and punish you and crush you because you're not wearing a mask or because you're not distancing, whatever the case may be, 6 feet. What happens if 3 months later we find out, well, not every mask actually works. Or maybe it's not 6 feet. Maybe it's 8 feet. Or maybe 6 feet doesn't work. Maybe it's 3 feet. Whatever. I can't change that now. I've already used violence to crush you. It's too late. I can't go back. Once you initiate violence, there's no going back. But if I didn't, if I said, here's what I think, here's what I'm going to do as governor, you guys, follow me if you believe me. I hope you do believe me because I'm being, open. And when you find I'm wrong, please let us know we're wrong. When you have a question, please let me know there's a question. And then within 3 months, we'd have real answers that people would have jumped on their own. So 3 months later, there'd be no shutdown. 6 months later, there'd be no shutdown. People wouldn't be rushing to their homes and getting COVID. They'd be going to their homes if they thought appropriate, but when they go there, they'd have the right answers. Stores could stay open. To Joe's point, not just Wendy's stays open, Bob's Diner stays open. Jane's Truck Stop stays open, but with ideas and real plans that keep people safe. But Larry, people would have died. Sadly, no matter what, people are going to die, and people died now. That was going to happen either way. The question is, would we have made it as safe as possible? Would we have done what makes sense to not have predictable, preventable other pain and suffering? Could we have done that? Yes. And could we have focused on the root? The root of banks, the root of hospitals. I just found out that the Buffalo Bills are going to be allowing some people in to their stadium to watch some of the games, some of the playoffs. What I heard was 6,200 people out of about a 70,000 or so seat stadium. Is that a good or a bad thing? Here's the problem. Because we weren't transparent, because we didn't share, because we weren't looking for the root, we're testing that now. Why didn't we test that literally months ago? Why weren't we simply, instead of shutting this down and shutting it all down, saying, hey, NFL, hey, Major League Baseball, hey, NBA, why don't we start testing this stuff? What do we think is right? What do your experts say? What does your insurance company say if they got to insure these things? What are they saying? How do we make this work? Within the first 2 months, we would have found out. What is the number? Is it 10%? Is it 75%? Is it different because, the ice hockey game is indoors and the football is outdoors? Well, some are indoors, but most are outdoors. Doesn't matter. Does that change things? Again, we would know. Once you have a centralized control based upon force, you better be 100% right the second you pull out that stick and start striking. Because if you're not, there's no going back. Not just that, there's no trust. Not just that, there's no real change. Not just that, we don't attack the root. And we do what we're doing now. Fighting over whether we should get $600 or $2,000 or whether there should be evictions up to this month or 3 months later. We're fighting all over the branches and we're hating each other even more. And now we fight internally. Democrats fight each other. Republicans fight each other. Libertarians fight each other. We're all fighting each other because, it should be this or it should be that. How about we fight the root? How about we show some transparency? How about we share and include each other? And we move towards the goals that we want. How about we do that? And if you'd rather go to Wendy's, go to Wendy's. If you'd rather go to Jane's Truck Stop, go to Jane's Truck Stop. And if you want to go to see your family and friends who may be sick or ill, you can. And if you want to go to watch the Bills play, you should be able to. But we can do it safely. Of course we can. And the sad part is, we're going to figure most of it out next year just by default. And by the time we figure that out, there'll be excuses for why our government was so bad. There'll be excuses as to why things were so bad. They'll make something up, whatever that is. They won't change our system unless we change it. They won't show weakness unless we allow them to. They won't be transparent unless we force them to. And they won't share and include unless we jump in and agree to. I'm going to bring back what Joe said again. While it's our responsibility for our own actions, he's right. And it's also our responsibility to change our government, to change our governor, as he also mentioned, to change our mayors and county executives and assembly, and to change our communities. The toughest part about this, of all this, is to make that change, we need community. We need the people around us to make the right changes. The more we use government force, the more we end our communities. I like our communities. We can be better. Let's think about those 3 things I mentioned. Trust, which means transparency. Sharing to fix our weaknesses. And of course, looking for the root so we can all move together. 2021 can be a great year. I know it can be. Larry Sharpe, A Free Solution. Happy New Year!